Hail and welcome to this edition of the Magical Human Show, which is the new Hawthorn Moon, which happens today. I am Claire, the Oily Witch, and I am joined, as always, by the wonderful and one and only amazing Merryweather, who goes by the name in the earth of.
June Tranmer. I was just saying to somebody, I appear to be the only June Tranmer on the planet, which is very bizarre because I know everybody else has multiple people with their name, but I don't know that there is any other June Tranmer. I've never found one. So
Merryweather, there isn't room for more than one June Tranmer on the planet.
only little.
I know, and but a pocket rocket. So, many things to talk about today, not least the new Hawthorn Moon. So,
Yeah.
I'll just say that that's come in today, and hawthorn is a plant which is a heart medicine. So the berries
Mm,
are very good for lowering blood pressure, not raising it, lowering it. It's blood medicine, it's heart medicine for making the heart feel whole. The heart is its own brain. It's a brain that's almost more important in the whole system than the brain itself. It's
mm,
responsible for our parasympathetic nervous system. So I just want to say a shout out to the heart here. And so this time is about kind of heart health, really, is the way I see it. Now, I haven't looked at which sign it's in. It's in Taurus.
hmm
So I did look at that actually, and then promptly forgot because June and I have talked about a lot of other things, and we both discussing how fast time is moving at the moment. We're both feeling quite overwhelmed, which is not surprising. Pluto's in retrograde. But with the Hawthorn in Taurus, what we've got here is very much obviously an earth sign. And Taurus is about steady. It's about just being in touch with the earth, in touch with beautiful things. It's sensory. It's like, oh, that smells amazing. It's really a musical zodiac sign. So a lot of Taurians are very musical. They're singers. It rules the throat chakra. So we've got this kind of, musical, and I'm actually going dancing tonight, so that's quite interesting, kind of sensuous kind of beginning to this moon phase, which I like you to take into consideration, you out there, and be thinking about what you would like to reap for your heart's joy in this moon month ahead. June, over to you.
Yes. Thank you. Well, given my chart, which I do want to talk about a little bit because I've had some major revelations there. But I also, I'm just getting it out here. This whole thing about the creativity aspect of life, which is the fifth house.
It is ruled by Leo, ruled by the sun, ruling the heart system.
Exactly. And I have my south node in there in Cancer with my moon.
Okay.
So this to me, this I said we spent quite some time this morning in this group I go to on every dark moon, as Litmus calls it, because it's when the moon is not
Not
visible,
available to see.
not
Yep.
available. We only see it as a new moon when it starts to appear in the next couple of days. And directly opposite, of course, is the North Node, which is in Capricorn, which is so interesting. My mother was a Cancer, my dad was a Capricorn. My Capricorn and my North Node are in, well, Capricorn partially in the 11th house, which is networking.
And groups and hopes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what's happening for me today is we're having an alleyway gardening group seed swap and seedling swap. And the new moon is all about planting seeds. And it's just like so perfect. I'm so excited for it. It's really going to be lovely. My little babies are growing outside. It's so cold at the moment. It's still, they're going, are you sure we should come out? There's more sun, but it's not warm enough, and I don't know what to do. But they are doing their best. I'm not mollycoddling them. They're going to have to toughen up with the cold winds, and I think they will do that. I think they will. I've got some tomatoes coming through. I'm not ready to swap my seedlings. I'm going to just swap seeds with people, and take snacks and do the networking and do the creative and communication. And of course, Taurus in my chart is partially in the second house and partially in the third house. And it's all to do with communication and technology, the third house, right?
The third house is ruled by Mercury and yes, Gemini. So absolutely. And the second house is self-worth and value. So Taurus actually rules the second house. So if your second house starts in the
Oh.
second in Taurus, it's in its rulership. So there's a strong kind of influence to Venus there and self-worth and value. So that's a really good placement for the second house. Have you got any planets there?
It's an auspicious time. Well, this is what I wanted to tell you about because I have Nessus in the third house,
But not in the
and
second. So is Taurus also in the
but
second?
Varuna, what, I'm sorry.
Is Taurus also your third house as well?
Yeah, it's straddling the two.
Okay, right,
Mm.
okay.
So Varuna is in the second house in the beginning of Taurus. Varuna, I've looked it up, is a Hindu god, one of the earliest deities. On the one hand, majestic, distant, and terrifying. I can be pretty fierce, but no, I'm not that. But he also catches those who lie or break their word. Moral authority, governor, and judge. I can be so judgy. But he's also associated with peace and the distribution of wealth and collective consolidation. And I just went, well, there you go.
That's
This
you.
is why I keep giving all my stuff away.
Absolutely. The distribution of wealth and also the fact that you are someone who's very involved in the truth and holding people to account. And you do notice if people aren't communicating well or there is untruth, etc.
Mhm.
So I would say to you, with that placement, you would make an ideal magistrate.
Yes. Well, when the new society comes about and we have proper courts, I will be an elder. I'm an elder now, but I think that's the perfect place for an elder to be, is in the seat of dispensing wisdom and judgment on situations.
And my world, you would go and do that now, June, so that you could affect from the inside like a
They
Trojan.
won't let me in, darling. Don't you worry. There's no chance.
Oh, that beggars belief for the rest of us is what has June been up to? But yes,
Well,
so
they're gonna
to get
look at
what
my posts. I'm already on a blacklist.
well, I don't know, but they may not pick up on that. But just going back to what you were saying, everyone else, the South Node is what we were in a previous lifetime. So it's what we fall back on when we don't wish to grow. So it's how we stop ourselves moving forward. So just know that that basically it's like inherent skills within that yeah are our safe space. We're very comfortable in those spaces in the South Node, whereas the North Node is
Mm.
what we're growing into. You're probably in your North Node already, which is an authority, and you know how you are like that. You want things done properly, precisely. You don't want things rushed. Things have to, like
Mm.
with the whole system you're doing when you're changing your computer, etc. It's being done properly. It's taking its time, but it will be lasting. And that's Capricorn for you. So really interesting. So everyone else, look for your South Node and your North Node. It's very telling. And some people's North Nodes don't change. So if your North Node doesn't change from your sun sign, that simply means that you, in this lifetime, haven't chosen an awful lot of growth and in your identity. It
Mm.
means you're pretty much staying as you were. And that doesn't mean you've got a bypass or a free ticket on the growth wheel. It means just in the area of identity, you're not going to change much. So that kind of energy of what you kind of have grown into, because when we start our lives, we're more like our ascendant. Then we grow into our sun, And then ideally we grow into our north node, or the
Yes.
growing into the sun takes longer, and so we never get to the north node doesn't change, is what I'm trying to say.
I see. I see.
So
Wow,
in
that is so interesting. I hope that's helping other people as well, because the chat we had this morning really helped a lot of the people in the group that was discussing as well. There is this whole thing called Vedic astrology, and I know you're really keen on keeping things local and indigenous to the British Isles,
yeah.
but it's just worth having a glance at other cultures, I
Oh,
feel.
God. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Why not have the whole kind of, well, the spiritual practice that we embody, I embody, is universal. It isn't
Yes.
kind of, stuck. And it is interesting that the Western astrology became a lot more fixed. So and how the disparance in the past, when you look to the constellation of Aries, we were in Aries, whereas now the constellation of Aries will be up there, and the sun won't necessarily be in the constellation of Aries in the sky because of the way the whole system's been set up. I don't know if the Vedic one is more true to that, and when the sun is actually in the Aries constellation, it's reflected down here on Earth. I'm not sure. There is a difference.
Oh,
So
there is totally, because according to that, and I put in my birth date into that earlier on today, and I'm not, yeah, I'm not what I thought I was.
exactly. So, and you have to just go with what feels kind of true to you, really. But
Yeah.
other things that are going on, which are worth mentioning, is that Pluto is in retrograde. So you and I have been talking about the fact that we feel a bit upside down. You're Scorpio, Pluto rules Scorpio. So it's just kind of like that retrograde aspect is causing quite a lot of calamity for people. There's been a lot of wound triggering going on. I mean, the last full moon was a full moon in Scorpio, the Willow full moon, and it's kind of, gone out from there really. And I've personally heard a lot of people having to, well, face personal upheaval and calamity really within heartfelt matters and, families and karma and all that kind of stuff. I'd say more so than
Mm.
perhaps external factors, or that has affected some people externally as well. So, what that's doing is it's dismantling outdated identities. So,
Yes.
we often have formulated our identities as a kind of, a crossword quilt, cross patch quilt of all the kind of things that people have fed back to us about who they perceive us to be. We quite often will take other people's opinions of us, especially parents, siblings, cousins, close friends, and
Yeah.
think that's who we are. And the labeling by teachers, all this kind of
Mm.
stuff, right,
Mm.
goes into the agreements that our brain makes and the filters of the subconscious creates to establish our personalities. And what Pluto's doing is saying, no, 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 we're going to be authentic here. There's no room for this duplicity or this,
Mm.
like, oh, what's another word for duplicity? But, this, incorrect information, I can't think. So now what we're doing is we're awakening to the fact that we can't fit those external ideals of who we are anymore. And we're being forced, if you're not already, into being our authentic selves, which some people are finding really, really difficult. Um, but it's a good thing because at Circle on Thursday, we were discussing this in detail, and we had examples, a lot of us had examples of where people had labeled us, put us, pigeonholed us into these things which we had accepted. And actually, those outdated victim mentalities, because often the labeling, externalized labeling of a person can land up taking your power away and making you feel like a bad person or, unworthy,
Yeah.
etc.
Or not good enough. The whole
That's
not
what
good
I
enough
mean.
nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah, completely. They're not good enough, and this
Mm.
whole Chiron and Aries thing's about reversing that and how we would stepping away from that. It's like I'm done with that. I'm not that person anymore. I've grown. I'm not gonna I'm gonna find the kind of, the sorcery, the gold, the warrior, the all of the survival stuff, and I'm wearing that instead. I'm coming in as my authentic, true self. And in fact, I got everyone to go beyond the veil and find their higher self and then just make sure that they had really addressed that within this field. And I said to them, as you go forward, when you come up against decisions, just keep saying, I need to take my own medicine. Go into your higher self, the self that you were born to be, because that's what Pluto's trying to do. It's trying to get you back into a soul alignment because the person you were born, the soul that you came down as, is a soul that you actually are. Yes, you will accumulate more wealth of knowledge of experience in this life because that's the point that you're here. But the inherent characteristics, your energy is your energy. It's your blueprint, and you're going back to that. And so ask that side of you what decision it would take if you were in your higher alignment. What would you say to yourself? What guidance? And try and just keep doing that. And the more you do that, the greater the affinity with your higher self, the more you're stepping into your own empowerment and feeling really untouchable, because that's the place we're getting to. We're getting to a space of I'm completely me and I don't need you to validate who I am. I'm happy with me. I mean, I'm not perfect, but I am me and that's enough.
Which kind of validates what I said to you before we started recording.
Exactly. Yeah,
You just said
absolutely.
it in a much better way. That is beautiful. That is truly beautiful. Thank you so much. Can we talk about the blue moon that's coming up on the
Yes, we
31st of
can.
May?
Yes, we can.
I don't know whether I'm ready to move away from the nodes. I feel maybe some people don't actually know what the node is. I mean, as you said, it represents where we're coming from and where we're going to, but it's not an actual thing in the sky. It's an aspect of the moon, as far as I understand it. Yeah, because that's something that people often ask. What are these headphones?
Yes, they look like that. The symbol of them. Yes, they do. And interestingly, the moon, not the nodes, the moon, where it is in your chart, is almost there's the shadow growth that's going to come in this lifetime. So depending on which house it's in, is
Mm,
very important to understand where you are going to face growth and some shadows. So it's not the same as your Chiron wound, but it just shows kind of, where your mental health, your emotional health is going to need to grow,
mhm,
because that's in, it's so
mhm,
interesting, the moon kind of aspects of someone's and people often ignore their moon placement. They think of just their sun or their
mhm,
ascendant, but it's the three. The moon as
mhm.
well is hugely indicative of your inner landscaping and the house, etc. It's
Yeah.
very important on how that shapes that, and also where it's going to be painful, possibly growth. So people with a poorly aspected moon have a tough time emotionally.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, well,
Laying
mine
that
is in my fifth house, as I said, and
children
creativity and whatnot.
and children and romance.
Right, yeah, well, that was
So,
yeah, we're bypassing that one. But my actual Chiron is in the 12th house
so your wound is hidden.
in and it's in Capricorn as well. So it's like it's just like, it's all
Is it
there. It's
the hidden? Yeah, it's that's
yeah,
interesting. Really
yeah,
hidden.
it
So
is.
leadership may be hidden, or sense of authority may be difficult to grasp. So
Really.
Uh, and then what we got, the full moon, the blue moon you want to talk about is in
Hmm.
Sagittarius. Just to point out at this point, I'm redoing my astrological amazing calendar for next year, and it will start
Ah,
on the 1st of November. But what I've asked to have happen is I've asked the artist, and he's done this for me. This year, the Fae came to me and said they wanted to be in the calendar. So I've asked the artist to connect with each of the trees that he's drawn and asked them what spirit, what dyad tree spirit wants to emerge. So we've got all these beautiful, we've got the green man appearing with, I think, Hazel. We've got kind of various different fae appearing and showing themselves. Sometimes they're in a couple, sometimes we've got Pan, got all kinds of fae. So it's very, very beautiful. Again, illustrations. And I'm doing the darker months in black on white, and then the lighter months in white on black. So it's really
Oh.
that we can see where we've gone into the shadow months and when we're going into the lighter months. So very excited about that. But
Mm.
the full moon is in Sag, the blue moon. What do you want to say about it?
I don't know, just that that's when we're next going to meet. And I just wanted to remind people that it's the second full moon of the month and therefore rather special.
And what it's done though, is just show how distorted our modern calendar is, because up until that point, all the moons and the new moons are pretty regular. As in,
Hmm.
obviously they're every 2 weeks, but with the distortion in dates, like as in what I mean is they're around the same date on the calendar.
The Gregorian calendar we're talking
The
about.
Gregorian
Yes.
calendar. Now, with this blue moon that is happening, then it distorts all the dates for months. So you land up with the new moon coming into the calendar month before the full moon. So up to this point, it's been full moon, new moon, full moon, new moon.
Right.
Because we've got two full moons in this month, next month begins with a new moon, then it goes full moon. So it's reversed it and it's made it a bit of a mess. Um,
Mm.
so that just isn't, yeah, another example of us being pushed out of sync by, oh my God, yeah. I'm reading this book at the moment that is the backstory to Macbeth. It's
Oh.
someone's written it and it's really, really good. It's about the three witches
Hmm.
and explaining who they were and the fact that they were just three healer sisters that basically, as we know with most witch stories, somebody dies, then somebody else may die afterwards, and then they're looking for someone to blame their tragedy on, and then they blame it on them.
Hmm.
And the rewriting of a story, which by Shakespeare, to make it into a bit of a play, a bit more human interest, etc. So there's a slight distortion of what really happened with the facts. But what is interesting to share with you all is the fact that when they saying double double toil and trouble, wool of bat, eye of newt, all this kind of stuff, wool of bat is green moss, eye of newt is mustard seed. What else did they use? All of the ingredients are named after these kind of sounding like frog's leg or whatever. They're named in such a way that they coded the medicine into folk story and song to keep the remedies sacred and safe. And when
Oh.
they talk about the guts of something, they're talking about the roots of a plant. When they're talking about the legs, they're talking about the stem. When they're talking about the bud of a plant, the head, they're talking about the blossom. When they're talking about the heart, like dog's heart or something like that, they're talking about the bud. So all of these things, which sound really gruesome, like Shakespeare's rhyme, double, double, toil and trouble, la, 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 is all basically a harmless remedy
Hmm.
to, it's a spell, but it's based on the natural world around us to make people well. So I
Yeah.
just thought I'd share that because I think it's obviously when you hear these things, for me anyway, I just go, oh yeah, of course, of
Of
course.
course. It's
But
not a curse. I mean, this is what they twisted things around to be, that witches were cursing people instead of healing them. But sometimes healing does have that image
capability.
of getting worse before they get better. And so people would go, oh, and they still do that now. People see a symptom and they go, oh my God, panic, panic, instead of, that's interesting. Why is that happening?
Which is what you and I would do. But
Which is,
yes,
yeah, the health detective. Mm.
yeah, absolutely. And witches could curse as well. I think people could curse and have always been able to curse because they understood the energy, because they were working with plants, they understood the active constituents in a plant, the breakdown, and
Hmm.
which plants, like in the book, she uses a remedy of hemlock, And she tells this old woman to be careful with the hemlock because what can kill, like a lot of these remedies are just on the edge. You have to take the right
Yeah,
dosage for healing.
yeah,
And then if you go over the top, and then the old woman, she's a drunk, so she takes too much and she dies of hemlock poisoning. She takes
yep,
three months applying one night. Um,
yes, that
and then,
happens.
oh yeah, because people don't hear the
More is
instructions.
better rather than
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
less.
desperation and,
Mhm,
all that kind of
mhm,
stuff. But it's
mhm.
just that kind of knife edge of when you're dealing with these plants still today, mushrooms, plants, anything like that, that the balance between health and healing, like, well, healing and death, really, and how
Yeah,
you get that right. Because, yew tree is a remedy. Yew berries and things like that can be really useful remedy, but if you take too much, you're dead. It's like
absolutely.
how you manage these things and
Hmm.
the respect really for the natural world and the self-control that's required to live within that. And that self-control is an echo throughout the whole of our lives. If you don't manage, you don't get some control, some resilience, then you can't get through your life.
I was about to mention resilience just there again. I wrote it down. And also the thing about curses and thinking bad things about people, they rebound on you. So it's not worth doing it.
No, it's really not.
I had an incident this week where I felt disrespected, and I managed to stamp my feet and shout and yell here at home and to other people who were sympathetic and who would listen without taking it on. And then I was able to go to the people I felt were disrespecting me. And I said, I feel you're disrespecting me in a really calm and clear manner without wishing them harm for being assholes because they were being assholes. And we shall see on Monday what transpires because the landlord has willy-nilly said to people they can come into my clinic on Monday. And he said, well, I told you 3 weeks ago. And I said, I told you 3 weeks ago it's not going to happen. I said, I will allow them to come in my lunch break. That's it. Put my foot down with a firm hand. And I was dead calm.
You're right. That's
Mm.
not okay. Um,
Mm. He's not
because
an asshole. He's trying his best. They're all trying their best,
no,
and
but
I
yeah,
don't want to
people,
curse
but
any of them
it is
because,
disrespecting. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and it's disrespecting all the people you're going to heal on Monday. But
Mm.
I want people to think about it. Like, I want you to imagine in your mind's eye, all of you listening to this, you're sitting there and you are a field of energy, a field of multicolored light energy. And
Yeah.
when you think of someone else, imagine like a vein, a spiral of energy going up. It leaves you and it travels because that's what's happening all the time. It travels and it wends and it weaves, the air carries it to that person's consciousness, to that person's energy. So if you curse somebody and do something bad, that you are sending them bad energy, your energy is then plugged into their energy field. So even though you've wished them bad, that's why it can come back to you because it knows how to you've created this. And so it can come back that way, like a wormhole, straight back to you. And that's why people should be really careful with every kind of interaction, sanitize the interaction as much as possible because of that
Mm.
reason. And what you said was perfect. You allowed yourself to experience the emotion, let it run through your body in a safe space with people who wouldn't take it on. It's like they could witness you, but they weren't gonna, they could hold space for you to feel the truth of what had happened so you could let it shake up like and then you worked out how you felt and then you went forward and it's like I'm a really clear arrow. This is what I'm saying, this is what I won't accept, etc. It's like boundaries are there and that's
Mm.
safe
Mm.
because it's
Mm.
not a whole load of I'm cursing you, you're nasty, it's
Yeah.
a different
Yeah.
vibration, but
Yeah.
people should be allowed to feel those feelings, the darker feelings. You have to allow them,
Mm.
all of them, they're welcome.
They're part of us. We can't pretend we're all love and light all the time. But it
Well, they're
does bring us
triggers,
back
aren't
to the
they?
heart thing, just because we probably need to finish soon. But back to the heart thing, if you say what you need to say with heart, and you open your heart to say, this is me honestly expressing how I'm feeling. And then that gives the other person the opportunity to also be honest and authentic as well. Instead of putting a wall up and going, you're an asshole. I don't like what you're doing and I'm really pissed. That just puts a wall there. It's not helpful. You're never going to get
Agreed.
resolution that way.
Agreed.
Mm,
Mm.
yes. So hearts. Yeah, it's
So hearts, Hawthorn, good
yeah.
time for us to be discussing hearts and resilience is something we were talking about when we started before we went online, and how resilience is very important as a skill to getting through this thing called life. Because, and it's the biggest gift you can give your children,
Yes.
and it's the biggest gift you can give yourself, because it's the way nothing, there is no, I was going to say amnesty. There's no protection against bad things happening to any one of us,
No.
um, because they will happen if they need to happen for you to understand a lesson.
Yeah.
Get
Resilience
a
isn't about preventing them happening. It's about allowing yourself to experience them and get through them
surviving.
without sustaining damage.
Or
Mm,
getting caught up in a victim mentality and
mm,
held back and suspended like a
exactly.
fly in amber, time immemorial, in a
Mm,
role that just is so disempowered that you literally can't, your health will start to crack around you because you're stagnant.
yeah,
And we want to keep flowing and moving.
that's it.
Um, so I want people to be thinking about resilience this week as well, and what it would take for you to feel resilient and to resource yourself enough so you can practice resilience and recognize that this too shall pass. That's what
Mm,
I have to keep saying to myself in some of the darkest moments is this too shall pass. It's like
wise words.
it can feel like forever, but actually it
Nothing
will
is
pass.
forever.
Well, it can't be because there's 7 billion people all doing their own thing, creating an energetic soup of consciousness, which we're all connected to. So
There.
nothing can stay the same for
No.
more than a millisecond before somebody's dropped another pebble in the pond and everyone else is reacting. It's like, but
Oh, the imagery. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
oh, did I look
Absolutely.
a bit like your Shiva there with the
Yeah,
kind of,
it's the Rahu and Ketu in the Vedic astrology, the head and the tail of the dragon that got chopped in half by somebody. That's the North Node and the South Node. Yeah, head and the tail of the dragon. Interesting. Interesting.
but his dragon is fire. Hmm.
Yeah, I haven't finished reading about it, but yeah, that's just the beginning. Yeah. Excellent.
Okay, everyone. Well, we wish you well, and we'll see
On
you
with the day.
on the, yeah, sometime around the 29th or 30th. We'll be back
Something
soon.
like that. Yes.
All right, everyone. Take
All
care.
right.